Welcome to Terri and Company. I'm Terri 𝙤𝙤𝙧𝙧𝙾𝙬, and after decades of connecting people with their dream homes here in the Poconos, I'm taking you on a journey beyond the listings. We'll explore the hidden gems of our lake region and beyond, and chatting with the fascinating folks I've met along the way. Get ready for stories, local insights, and a whole lot of heart. Let's dive in. Welcome back to Terri and Company, the podcast where we dig deep into the stories of the people behind the businesses that bring joy and beauty into our lives. Today we have a truly special guest who embodies that spirit, Joanie Vonderhey from Countryside Floral and Greenhouses right here in Hamlin. Joanie, thank you so much for joining us.
Terri, thank you so much for having me.
Now, I'm going to start off by saying we go back a ways. I'm almost afraid to say how many years.
39 and a half years.
39 and a half years. So, and I've known you at least that and probably
more
because our families intertwined somewhere down in 𝙁𝙤𝙧𝙧𝙧𝙀𝙀.
Yeah, somewhere down in 𝙁𝙧𝙧𝙧.
Right, for sure. So Countryside Floral and Greenhouses, they've been the cornerstone of the community for decades here. You are actually a landmark, we say, down at the Greenhouse Hollow. And it's truly a family affair. So can you take me back to the beginning? When did you first establish Countryside Floral, and what inspired you to even get started on this?
It started back in 1985. I always loved to plant. My husband always loved to plant. And my husband's grandfather said to me the one day, he said, follow your dream. So we ended up selling our home to start our business. And we opened in April of 1986. My son was 4 years old. My daughter had just turned 2 years old. And that was the start of it. And at the time, it was just a small little building with a small yard with shrubs and items in it. And then in 1987, we ended up adding a greenhouse. And it kept going from there.
And it keeps going.
And it keeps going.
And going.
And my son and my daughter were always involved in it, even when they were little. But my son kind of changed everything back in 2010. He wanted to add on. So we started with one greenhouse, 2 greenhouses. Now we're up to 15 greenhouses.
And I love walking through them all.
And it's nice walking through them all.
It is.
You know, it's
the
great
ideas that you get.
Right. And it's great during the wintertime because it's snowing outside. You come in and it's 80 degrees in here. And
well, I'm going to visit more often.
There's color. There's color in here during the winter time.
Nice.
And it's wonderful.
So it's a family affair.
Family affair.
Absolutely. And your son has a degree in horticulture,
yes.
I understand?
Yes, my son has a degree in horticulture.
And he did that strictly because of
the business.
The business.
He wanted to expand the business.
Okay, so talk about your family. I mean, I've known your family a long time, and when I come in here, everybody's here.
Yeah. Of course, it's my husband, Bob. You know, he's here every day of the week, 12-hour days, just to make sure everything's good. And then my son, Bobby, and his wife, Laura, helps out all the time. She does a lot of my funeral work for me. Because back in 1997, we added the floral shop on it for a full-service florist. So she helps out with a lot with the floral work. And then there's my daughter. She does only the greenhouses. She likes the greenhouses. And then I had to get my sisters involved. I have 3 sisters. 2 of them are coming here all the time. The other one helps all of me on the holidays. So it is truly a family affair.
I know. And they're all very industrious in their own way.
Yes.
They are. You guys are a whirlwind energy.
Too much energy sometimes.
So there's a lot of it. So your son, he got the horticulture degree, so I'm sure that helps. And
it helped tremendously.
In everything that you do. So it's a real collaborative effort. And I just want to say on a side note that I helped Laura and Bobby sell their house.
Yes.
And they bought this fabulous farmhouse that they have renovated. Laura, not only does she have a floral sense of design, she has a sense of design in her house too. So
their house went from an old farmhouse to this beautiful updated farmhouse.
She's definitely a good addition to the family.
She's very artistic.
No doubt.
Very artistic.
One of the things I think that truly stands out with you is that you grow all your own flowers, right? Your perennials, your bedding plants.
We grow everything except for we don't grow our shrubs. We plant our shrubs. They come in from a wholesaler out in Chicago, and we plant those up usually in April, beginning of April. But everything else, we start baskets the beginning of February, And my daughter-in-law's father, Joe, comes in and starts helping with the baskets. He works until after the mum season. You know, he plants all the mums, which we did this week. We planted 4,500 of them, and it is truly a family affair,
Right.
because I'm getting my daughter-in-law's family involved in it too, which is always nice. And the grandkids do come down. I mean, they're still little. They do help out, basic little things
So it's
that they
okay.
can
You
do.
could start
Yes,
get
and
the
they
third
started-
generation involved.
Yes, you got to get that third generation.
And I seem to remember seeing your mom working here.
Yes, my
before
mom
she
was
passed.
here all the time.
Yes.
She was my geranium groomer and my petunia groomer, but she was a nurse in the nursing department, a baby nurse, and she used to take the first 2 weeks of April off to help me plant to get started. You know, the vegetables, annuals, anything you could think of, and so it was really truly a family
Right.
affair.
And I think that your whole family gets their work ethic from your mom.
I think so too. And
Yeah.
my dad came down. He was the gopher.
Yeah.
If I needed this or that, he was running for it. He didn't help too much planting, which was fine.
Yeah, but you know what? You had support.
Yeah,
You had
had
support of
all
your
the
parents.
support, and couldn't ask for better support.
Right. So now I'm thinking, okay, there's going to be 4 generations probably
Yeah.
here working.
I hope so.
Right.
I hope so.
I know, and it should be that way.
People keep saying, I'm 66, my husband's 68. When are you going to retire? And I'm like, I don't want to retire. I like what I do.
Exactly.
I shouldn't say I don't like it. I love what I do.
Mm-hmm.
There are tough days, but I love what I do.
I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Because everybody's like, I'm at retirement age too, and I'm like, no, no, I don't want to do that. I like what I'm doing. And I always have the saying, says that if you rest, you rust.
Right, and it's true. It
Right.
definitely is true.
So we just keep going.
Yeah, and I believe that, but I do, I love seeing the people.
Mm-hmm.
But more than anything, I love what we grow. I love when people come in here and they're like, wow, look at this greenhouse.
I know.
It's just
beautiful.
that awesome feeling to
It
get
is.
that.
Well, I've started doing my own planters on my railing, but for years I used to bring my empty planters and just say, here's a picture of what I'd like them to look at. I'd go on Pinterest and voila, a few weeks later I'd come back and
it was close.
And they're very close and beautiful.
Yeah.
And beautiful. But now I have carved out a few minutes and I kind of like to get my dirt under my fingernails now.
And there's nothing better than dirty fingernails.
And I just love coming around and trying to do something different every year, just so I don't have the same old thing I'm looking at. But you have such a variety. That's what I can't get over.
My daughter orders. She helps with the basket orders, like all the different colors, but she does the specialty the specialty pots. And the creativity, you have to do that. Like I just ordered the basic things every year. She comes in, she's like, no, we got to change this up.
Yeah. And
she said, you got to grow with it.
Yeah, I take advantage of that all the time. So you have the house plants too.
Yes, we have house plants too. That's about the only thing that, we don't grow our house plants. We do buy those in from Florida.
Okay.
That's basically really the only thing that we really don't plant.
I purchase them and they're healthy.
They're very
I don't know where
healthy.
you're getting them from, but sometimes you can buy house plants somewhere and then, not so good. It seems like everything that I've ever purchased here just blooms and flourishes and does really well without much help.
Right. I think a lot of that has to do with it's locally grown. We have crazy weather up here. It's used to our environment. It's used to our sun. Some years we have sun all summer. Sometimes we have no sun. Like this year, it's all rain. But we're kind of in that same groove where, if there's a problem, we know what to do with it. And we tell people all the time, if you have a problem, tell me. We need to know this.
Right.
So, even if it's bugs or weather or whatever, rot, just tell us so we can help you walk through it.
Well, it's interesting in the time of year to put everything outside too, because I can remember picking up my railing baskets and you would say, now don't put them out yet.
Yeah.
Don't put them out yet. Put them in your garage, wait, because we're going to get a frost yet.
Yeah.
So took your advice in it and that was correct.
And that's one of the harder parts now because everybody's planting since COVID. They want to start planting at the beginning of May. And it's like, it's way too early. You got to wait. You got to wait.
Unless you have a little
Unless you have
greenhouse
someplace to put them. And even if you're bringing them in and out of your garage or your house, they're not happy.
Right.
Leave them here. They're going to do nice. They're going to get nicer looking. And they're going to get bigger.
Okay. So vegetable plants.
Vegetable plants.
Lots of vegetable plants this year.
Too many vegetables. Too many vegetables. We have 37 varieties of tomatoes, 30 pepper varieties. And we have the basil, the herbs, perennial herbs, just about anything you can think of, we have.
I know.
You know,
You got like a little
we-
one-stop shop here going
And
on.
it is a one-stop
Yeah, if you
shop.
want to buy, a bouquet of roses for somebody, you can
Yep.
do that. If you want to give them a plant, you can do
You
that.
can do that. We do, a lot of people come in just to pick up something for a birthday gift. So we have the floral shop for that. Or for, when people are at their worst time of their life, when they're for sympathy pieces.
I know, sure that.
We have all that too.
And you do good consultation with that.
Well,
I'm going to get to more of that. So I don't know how much you know about vegetables, but I'm going to ask you, like if somebody wanted to start a vegetable garden, have you got any starter advice for them?
I love newbies to the greenhouses.
Okay, great.
Back in 2020 when COVID hit, we had, especially the younger people, they really got interested in gardening.
Yes.
And I tell them all the time, it's great. Number one, we don't put chemicals on our stuff. The stuff you're buying from the grocery store, God only knows where it came from, what it was sprayed with. But it's just so easy, start with your tomatoes, start with your cucumbers, start with your squashes. You don't have to be a canner.
Right.
Back, when both of us were younger, we all canned. Everybody, our parents, our mothers can, like they're crazy. But I tell them, start small, start with just a little tiny thing. And a lot of people now are doing the planter boxes.
Right.
Or vegetables on their patios since there's so many problems with the animals.
Yes. Yeah, that's
and I
where
tell
mine
them,
are.
Start small. Don't get a tray of tomatoes, 48 tomatoes.
No.
You don't know what you're going to do with because it's just crazy.
Well, if you just have a couple of good tomato plants, you can have tomatoes all
summer.
season, and then you're going to be giving them away.
Yes. And cucumbers and zucchini the same way.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, you need one pack. 4 plants, that's all you need.
Yes.
Because you'll be cursing me in August and September when you have...
What am I doing with all these zucchinis? Yeah. Very good. So start small, and don't be afraid to try something new.
Yes. But I love when people tell me I've never grown anything before. It's like, oh, this is great.
So then we go beyond spring and summer. You started talking about the mums, but oh my goodness, so you just planted those.
We just planted the mums, and they'll be ready about the first week of September.
Okay.
So right now they're in the greenhouses. In about 2 weeks we'll be outside, and we have to separate them because right now we grow them pot to pot. In a couple weeks we have to start separating them so that way they grow nice.
Okay, so now mums, I've always had the potted ones. I've planted some, but in this area, I mean, is there a hardy mum that somebody can plant that might survive?
They are hardy.
Okay.
The problem is most people use them for decorations.
Right.
So they're trying to plant them in the end of October.
Right.
And it's too late. If you're going to plant them, you got to get them in September.
Okay.
So they can get a root base.
Oh,
so that way it's all the difference in the world.
Okay.
But mums are cheap. So people like decorating their house with them, which I still do. I don't plant any of my mums.
I buy 10 or 12 of them.
And then at the end of the season, I compost them. Because everybody needs a compost pile.
Okay.
Everybody needs a compost pile.
That I've never tried, but my brother does.
Yes.
And they really use it, and their gardens are beautiful. So fall and winter, there are things that you're doing here. You're growing mums for the fall. And then Christmas time.
Christmas time it's be the 3rd year. We did not grow our own poinsettias. It got too expensive. Gas got too expensive.
Ah.
So we buy them from a farmer down in Lancaster.
Okay.
And they're absolutely gorgeous. But we have the poinsettias. We do our own wreaths. We do our own logs. We do our own grave blankets. We don't sell live Christmas trees anymore. That was another thing that got way too expensive. And we're waiting for them to come back down. But we do sell artificial. We have a whole greenhouse set up like a little Christmas wonderland, which is really cool.
I don't think I've ever seen that, Joanie. I'm going to have to come by.
You got to come by in this wintertime.
I will.
And it's really, really pretty.
I will. Well, I know there's Christmas trees for sale all over the place. So,
This is the third year that we're not selling the Christmas tree. And it was depressing. I had a hard time the first couple of years not seeing the yard filled with Christmas trees.
Yeah.
But it just wasn't, I couldn't charge people. This is a small community and I couldn't charge people $150.
And I think a lot of people are going to artificial. I mean, I myself, I always love the smell of a Christmas tree, but it can get a little messy.
Yeah. And they do get messy.
But I love a fresh Christmas tree would be my, right now I do a tabletop because
which is nice, which is always nice.
Kids anymore. So I'm going to switch over to this full service floristry that you have here. So how does that complement everything? I mean, I know you were talking about, while we were sitting here, some nice little boy just came in to buy some carnations, you know,
Yes.
for his friend that was having a birthday, which I thought was so sweet. But the floral business, tell me just a little bit more about that.
When we opened the florist in '97, that's kind of where I wanted to start out with back in '86, because I love doing arranging. You know, I love putting flowers together. So we ended up adding that on in '97. I keep saying '97. But we used to do weddings. I stopped doing weddings a couple of years ago. I have arthritis, so, but it was just,
well, that's a big undertaking, a wedding.
Yeah,
right?
a wedding's a big undertaking, and it just got too hard. So, but we still do birthdays, anniversaries, we sell roses, we sell every kind of flower you can think of. But I love doing funerals. I love funeral work.
And you do it beautifully.
And it's, you know, the worst time of somebody's life, and I like making it pretty for them and a little bit easier.
Well, I think that I've seen the arrangements and the great care and the sensitivity that you've had. You've helped our family, you know, with floral arrangements for all kinds of, you know,
every
circumstances. And they're always done really well, and you make great suggestions, and, you know, it's a good part of your business.
Right. And as I got older, I started realizing, you know, if you don't like something, tell the people. Tell them, you know, this isn't going to work. You know, I really don't suggest it, you know, but that just comes with years of wisdom, I think. You know, getting used to saying,
absolutely,
I don't think this is a good idea. I think you need to go something a little different, you know, for what you're doing.
No, that's being a professional. Yeah. And, you know, it's a good profession for you.
Yeah.
Same thing with real estate. You know, I have people that are ready to, you know, they fall in love with the house. I said, yeah, well, kind of look at the roof, like you gotta look, step back a little bit. Absolutely, and you have to be an advisor to someone at all times. Right. So, and I always appreciate that. Say, well, I have this sunny spot. You know, what's the best thing to put there? Or I want to do something different. You know, what do you got? What do you got new? Right. And you know, and it's nice because a lot of the kids that were little out in the greenhouses now come to me for proms, semi-formals. You know, they were coming to me for weddings. But, you know, I even have some of them coming now because they lost a parent. You know, so I do their sympathy pieces too. Yeah. But, you know, the florist is, it's more difficult. It's more intense than the greenhouses. The greenhouses, you kind of just float. Right. Where in here it's more, you got to be careful. You got to make sure you do what everybody wants. Right. So it's for celebrations. Yeah. And you just have to know where you're going with that. You have a nice selection of vases, and it's just a great little shop. Thank you. So, and you do local delivery? We do local deliveries. That's the hardest part of the florist, is doing the deliveries. You know, trying to organize, especially your Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, trying to get everybody on days that they want it delivered, making sure they're home. I don't like leaving anything because I worry about animals eating them. Right. Plus, you know, you don't want to, just in case it rains, you don't want your arrangements being destroyed. I've had it delivered to the house, and they're always really wonderful about that. Thank you. So also, Joanie, how about like Telefloral and all that? Do you participate in that? Not anymore. I had Teleflora for probably close to 30 years. Yeah. And we gave it up back in 2021. It just got too expensive. Okay. And I'd rather call, like, if people need things wired out and they don't know how to do it. A lot of elderly people don't know how to use the computer. I'll call a florist for them. Okay. And I'll call somebody that's a small florist, like a mom and pop business, instead of calling like one of the big places. So if somebody local wanted to have something done in another area that you don't deliver, you're willing to help them identify a florist. That, you know, sometimes they want to talk to them, so you know, I just give them the number. But we did stop Teleflora back in, you know, a few years now. Alrighty, but you're still offering that help. But but I help out, you know, anybody that's looking for somebody, like down in, like up in Maine, like they need somebody in a small town in Maine. I help them find somebody, and then, you know that it's a small mom and pop that you're going to get taken care of. Thank you. So, a next question. Do you go to anyone's houses to do any of the plantings or landscaping? We used to, but we stopped because we got too busy in the greenhouse. Okay, because this greenhouse is just... Yeah, Bobby did that up until right before COVID. When COVID hit, things changed. Because he's got a knack. He definitely has a knack. So, but if you wanted landscaping, can they come and talk to Bobby and get ideas? And Bobby will help, you know, walk them through it. Okay. You know, this is what you need on this section. This is what you need here. There you go. He knows
He's the perennial expert.
Okay, good.
He knows everything about perennials.
Because sometimes, you plant something that's going to take over
right
everything else. You don't want to plant them too close. And
and he helps out with all that.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And you have everything back there anybody could ever want, especially in this area.
Yes.
You're not going to sell stuff that's not going to grow here.
Yeah.
Okay.
We definitely
I've seen some of his work, even in his own home.
Yeah. His house is gorgeous. What they do down there.
Fabulous.
They do.
Yeah. He's very, very talented. So you keep adding greenhouses, but you built on your passion, your expertise. You have a deep connection with the community.
Yes.
I'm going to say right now, you are very generous with donating baskets and things for
fire
companies for our Rotary Club in Hamlin and Lake area. We appreciate that so much.
Thank you. We got to keep it local. We have to keep it local. That's why I like doing the donations, and people like when you donate a basket. Like Jefferson just they're having their fireman's picnic now.
Yes,
we donate things. So even though it's up the road, it's still part of our community.
Yeah.
We get a lot of customers from Jefferson.
I'm sure you do. And right now you have all this construction going on in the front, so people get to stop and maybe notice more.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I had a lady the other day said that she was backed up a little bit down the road, and she said she saw us, and she said, I had to pull in and check this out.
There you go.
She's like, I go back here every day, and I never realized that you were here until I was sitting here and was looking around because I had nothing else to do.
Sometimes when there's road work in front of your business, it's like a real detriment. It was for a couple of days.
Yes.
I had a hard time getting in. But now I'm thinking, I don't know how long they're going to be there with their bridge. And I was thinking, this might be a help.
Well, to them because that's what I said. When they came to talk to me about it, my sister said, you handled that quite well. And I said, well, there's nothing I can do about it.
Exactly.
But, maybe somebody might see us that they never saw us before. Because they're just sitting out there.
I agree. So our Century 21 office is at the traffic light. Mm-hmm. And so, people will look up and see, Century 21. And normally they won't notice a sign unless they're looking for real estate. It's just like, like when you buy a car and then all of a sudden you see the same car, but you never saw that car before.
Right.
So you're looking for Floral and then all of a sudden, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Good. So I think I think you have a great location here anyway.
I think we have a great location.
The only thing I want to tell everybody is this is a place where you lose service on your phone.
Yes.
It's a little hollow here.
Yes. As soon as you get down, start coming down the hill. When we have to send pictures, a lot of people ask if I could send a picture, of the arrangement or a basket or something.
That's hard.
And we have to go up to the top of the hill to send the picture. Because it just doesn't work down here.
If I'm on the phone, I'm headed back to the office. I'm like, I'm going to lose you, but in 2 minutes, I'll be right back.
The other
as soon
hill.
as I get to the top of the other hill, I'll be all right. So that's the only thing. If you're going to plan on calling somebody,
you can't do it.
You might not be able to do that. So you got a lot going on. Looking into the future, you got some more ideas?
Well, my husband told my son last year, we put the 15th greenhouse up. We're done. He said, we can't, it's getting too big. We're getting too big. We want to keep it where we can control everything. Make sure that everything is as perfect can get, which I think 15 greenhouses is plenty.
It is, but so that was your focus right from the beginning. You said you always wanted to provide top quality plants and beautiful floral designs and serve it with the dedication that you've always had and not get it so out of control.
Right, and I don't want to lose that. I don't want to lose and become that big box store. We'll never be a big box store, but I don't want to lose that. I want to be able to, when somebody comes in and has questions, I want to be able to take the time to answer their questions. There are days when it's impossible. Yes, like you're waiting on somebody, especially, there's a lot of older people in our area. I want to make sure when they come in, if they're struggling walking around, that we can dedicate time to them. But be waiting on them going to get something and somebody else stops you. Right. And then you forget who you were working with. You go back. But I don't want to lose that.
No, it's nice. You come in, you have carts that you can grab and walk around with and fill up your cart. Sometimes I fill up 2 or 3. Yeah. But anyway, I'm going to get something else today.
I like when people come in and they get to the register and they say, I was only coming in for a pack of tomatoes. And they have $200 worth of plants on their cart.
Because they're so beautiful.
Yeah. Sometimes you can't decide.
And your prices are very reasonable, Joanie.
I went home the other night and I said to my daughter, I'm like, a lot of plants here. She's like, just wait, it's going to be very pretty. And she likes getting all her plants at one time and figure out what she's going to do as she's going. And I said to her, I said, I don't care. As long as they all get planted, it doesn't matter
Right.
to me.
So you have, I mean, people can buy to do their own, but you have ready-made planters.
We have ready-made planters.
For their porches.
Cemetery people, a lot of them buy some of the containers and they put them on the cemetery.
Yes.
If I go to my parents' grave or over to my grandparents, it's funny when I'm walking around, I was like, oh, that came from us.
Yeah.
Oh, that grave blanket's ours. Because I recognize them. I know our work. But it's, it's nice. It's nice when especially over at St. Catherine's, because they are further away. Mm-hmm. And I'll be going over to my grandparents. I'm like, there are planters over there. I was just over there a couple of weeks ago, and I had to see like 30 or 40 planters of ours. But it's a compliment to see it.
It is. And you also sell the actual containers of their. You got really nice ones out there. I saw you have succulents out there.
We have succulents.
What else have I seen out there? You just have everything.
When people say they can't find something, I'm always shocked. Mm-hmm. Because there's something for everyone here. There has to be,
and different size stages of growth.
Right? We have small up to extra large. Like we have large baskets, extra large baskets that we sell. They're a big 20-inch basket, and we grow about 30 of them. But you need a strong support,
right?
Because they are heavy. It takes 2 guys to get them down when they buy them.
So keep doing what you're doing. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Well, thank you.
You know that. Thank you. I love you, Joanie.
Yeah, thank you.
And your whole family. And the passion that you have, it's really, it shines through.
Yeah.
And when people walk through the door, they're always met with a smile. And how can I help you? And, nobody.
And that's something I find very important. When people come in, if you can't help them right away, just say hello.
Yeah.
Just so they know that they're recognized. Exactly. I think that's the top thing of everything that I want my workers to do.
Absolutely.
Just to notice, to make sure that you see people.
Yeah.
That they feel that they're known.
Absolutely. Yeah. And people want that.
And people want that.
They definitely do.
I've gone to places where, not so much small places, but you walk in and they don't even know you. They don't even see you. They don't look up. And I mean, I think that's so wrong.
It is.
You have to make eye contact.
Again, that's your background.
Yeah.
And customer service definitely. I think service to the people in the community is your passion. I mean, I know you love the flowers. You don't like all that, but I think you like helping people.
And I do like helping people.
I know. So let's go through what the address is here.
Okay.
This is Countryside Floral and Greenhouse. We're located at, what's the actual address?
129 Mount Cobb Highway, Lake Ariel, PA.
Okay. And your phone number?
570-689-4438.
And that is 689-GIFT, GIFT.
Yes.
That's how I always remember your phone
okay,
number.
good.
So you should use that more often.
People complain because they have to figure out where the numbers are, where the letters are.
I just always remember. I'll never remember. But everybody's gotten their phone now, so it doesn't matter.
Yes.
Okay. So then my next thing is, do you have a website?
I have a website, countrysidefloral.net.
Countrysidefloral.net. Okay. All righty. So that's Joanie from Countryside Floral and Greenhouse, bringing beautiful joy and sunshine. Well, can you bring some more sunshine?
I'll try.
That would be nice.
I can't control that.
Yeah, I know.
I'd like to control it.
You have to visit just to get the sensory experience of all these beautiful plants. You're not going to know what to buy first.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Alrighty.
That's really a nice compliment. Thank you.
It's the truth, Joanie.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we will see you around town for sure.
All right. I'm always around town somewhere.
Thanks, Joanie.
Thanks, Terry.
Well, we are out of time. Let me wrap this up by thanking our guest once again, and a big thank you to those of you who listen in to Terri and Company. Be sure to tune in again every Saturday at 9:30 a.m. You can also visit my website at terriandcompany.com to listen online. Until next time, enjoy the company you keep. This podcast is brought to you by Century 21 Select Group.
Discover dream homes and exclusive listings. With Century 21 Select Group, find the perfect place for you and your family to call home. From cozy to luxurious, from tranquil lakeside retreats to vibrant neighborhood gems. Contact Century 21 Select Group today, dedicated to the joy of home.
You too can experience the joy of home with a Century 21 Select Group agent near you. Visit them online at c21selectgroup.net or call 570-689-2111.